Okay, we are recording. Okay.
Gotta get ready.
Clear my throat. Yes. All right, let's see.
Start talking deeper.
Hello, everyone. All right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to our video. Oh my gosh, what am I even saying? What am I welcoming people to? To our
Channel?
channel? No, not channel.
Um,
To our series. We'll call it series.
all
All right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to our series with Joseph Tegerdine. He is a 16-year-old amputee and cancer survivor. In a previous episode, he had talked about his general cancer experience and how that changed his life in a lot of different ways and a lot of his different perspectives. Today, we are going to be talking about the perspective that he has now gained about standardized school and versus personalized education. So Joseph, thank you for being here today. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. To start off, we would love to hear from you what kind of perspective you've gained about personalized education. So to start, what does personalized education mean to you?
It really means just like a focused looks like we're struggling. Okay. It looks like it's a focused form of education that really is based off of how you learn and your personality, right? So it's not quite oh, here's a test, oh, let's go to the classroom and learn in this specific way. It's more like, oh, you need more hands-on learning opportunities, let's figure out how to make that work. Or, oh, you're more visual, so let's give you some really deep, like intriguing visual I guess learning method, so it's just kind of more focused based on the person you are and how you learn, right?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, you want to focus it on how you learn because everyone learns different.
Yeah,
right?
Everyone learns different. So it's very, very important that we find a way to kind of let people find how they learn the best, right?
Yeah, I really like that a lot. How do you learn best and how have you personalized your education?
So for me, I'm more hands-on, right? I really like the technology, engineering stuff, but I really did not appreciate like my English classes or whatever. So I decided to go take a automotive technology trade school and supplement that with classes from my high school, right? And so I'm taking AP Calculus in my high school because I do enjoy math, but I'm more hands-on, and so I figured this trade school would probably be pretty helpful because I don't really see myself going into the automotive technology business, right? But it is a fun class and it is a viable option to maybe help me work my way through a engineering school or something, right? So it's more personalized to what I view as necessary, you know?
Yeah, that's really great. That is cool that you're able to personalize your education in the way that keeps your attention, that is interesting to you, that works for you, because it kind of teaches in the way that you learn.
Yeah.
That's not to say, though, necessarily that the public school system doesn't work for anyone.
No, not at all. It's personalized. If it works for you, then great, right? Like, just keep with it.
Exactly. What are your thoughts generally on the public school system? Because I mean, really, that automotive trade school is part of the public school system. The AP Calculus is absolutely part of the public school system.
For sure.
What are your thoughts on that, and kind of how do you incorporate that into your personalized education?
So, I guess for me, I just take the parts of the public school system that work, right? Like, I was able to use the public school system to get in a trade school that is, it's public. It's a technical college, so it's public, but I was able to, I guess, mess with my schedule, mess with the classes I took to get into that trade school, right? And so a couple of classes I was like, I don't really need necessarily because I'm already pretty solid at them. Like I'm proficient in them. It would be English or PE, right? I've been reading at a collegiate level since I was 6th grade. Like we had all these little tests and they're like, yeah, you're reading at a college level. Like So I'm not learning anything new in these classes that they're teaching me. Like my reading comprehension skills are way above because I read a lot, right? And so I'm not like I read all the time, nonstop, 24/7 pretty much. Most parents are like, put down the video games. They're like, dude, get off the book. Like, what are you doing? So I just naturally I've got really, really, really good at reading. So I don't really need these English classes to learn because I'm not learning in them. And as for PE, I'm also just I'm a swimmer, and so during swim season I spend typically an hour to 2 hours in the pool after school every day. So it's like I don't really need to be running around a track, or honestly walking around a track. I'm an amputee. I don't run very fast. I don't really need to be doing that to stay physically active. But that's the point of a PE class. So it's like that's not really necessary. It's wasting time for me. For other people, for sure, English classes are very important. Reading comprehension is a very important skill. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm smarter, I don't need reading classes. It's just that's what I do in my free time. I read. So obviously I've gotten very, very good at it, right? And so for people who don't, I don't know, read quite as much, or, you know, they could use that class because it is a very useful class, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really cool how you recognized that things at normal schools, you're already good at that. It's not like you're going to necessarily learn a ton of things because you're already just naturally doing that
Yeah.
outside of school anyway. And so it's not like you want to be wasting those hours and hours doing that homework, sitting in class, listening to lectures, whatever it may be, because you've already figured out, or you've already got the good solid basics and more of a lot of those different topics.
Yeah, if I'm doing the homework in the class while she's lecturing about how to do the homework, it's probably not a class I should be in.
That totally makes sense. How interesting. It's interesting to note. Actually, I don't know what's interesting to note. How did you figure out that the public school system, at least, parts of it,
Mhm.
didn't work for you?
So, during cancer, when you have cancer, you've got to go through chemotherapy and you're immunocompromised. You can't really go to school. So I was out of the public school system for 9 months, right? And I spent a lot of that time thinking, well, why am I wasting time in the public school system doing things I don't really care about? Why am I not, um, it's not really working for me. Why? And how do I fix it, right? So it really did take me just being completely removed from that um, environment to find out, like, oh, it's not really something that you'll be okay with, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really interesting because you had to have been removed from it for a while in order to recognize that.
Yeah.
And I think it's really difficult for a lot of students these days because, or just in any days, because they don't have the opportunity to be away from it. That sounds weird to say that, because who
No,
wants
but
that
you're,
opportunity of cancer and an amputee, of course, but it's because it's difficult to get out of something that you're just kind of in and you're in the grind and you're in the rut and you're just kind of going, going, going. It's hard to take a step back on purpose.
yeah.
So I think that's a cool opportunity. The opportunity that came out of cancer and amputee experiences is you were able to view it from a different angle.
Yeah, for sure. No, it gave me a very interesting perspective.
For sure. So in class or in classes, you've mentioned that, that there's a lot of wasted time because maybe you already know the subject or something like that. What about when you're actually learning something in class? Is school more useful then?
Yes, it is more useful because you are learning something, right? But also at the same time, not really. Can I read what I read on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the idea. There we go. I was like, I can't remember what my no idea was.
Perfect.
Yes, because you will be learning something, right? However, it's also kind of a balance between like useful and not useful, but like I'm doing a bad job explaining this. Okay, we're gonna retry.
Great.
Got it. Yes, because you are learning, right? At the end of the day, you are learning. But also, not really, because you're still wasting a lot of time, right? Because every student is going to come up with different ideas based on what they have heard or their experiences in life. Mainly in English classes and math, it's not like, oh, I had this experience. 2 plus 2 does not equal 2. 2 plus 2 always equals 2. But in English classes, when you're doing a lot of inferencing and, oh, because this character said this, they mean this or they're doing this, that is very subjective. It's very based on the person's personality, what they view as wrong or right, or just experiences they have. So it's so impossible, really, to be able to standardize and grade those classes because two people can read a paragraph and come up with completely different ideas. It happens all the time, right? So to try and grade that is honestly going to just be hurting your students because then at the end of the day, it's whoever thinks the most like the teacher, you know?
That's a fair point. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, in school, students have different levels of comprehension. People have different interests and are interested, in different things in different ways. What other differences do you think there are between students hindering their education?
So another thing is students have a lot of inherent curiosity, right? They have, they're just, we're just curious, right? That's kind of human nature to be curious. So to try and like standardize the way we think, it really stifles a lot of that inherent curiosity, right? Because it's like, oh, go be unique, be curious, like be changeable, think in a different way. And then they give us this test and it's like, okay, you've got 4 answers, you need to think how we think. It's like, it's actually exactly opposite of what you just told us, right? Oh, think outside the box, think outside the box. Here's the box, you need to think in it, otherwise you're going to fail the class. And it's like, you just told us not to do that. I don't know. So it's just kind of interesting how, like, I guess it's kind of hypocritical, you know?
Yeah, I can totally see that. I can totally see that from your perspective, that they're encouraging you to do all these different things and think outside the box, like you were saying, but then they give you a standardized test that's supposed to be one box for everyone, and that doesn't always seem to make sense in your head.
It's like, that's not, how am I supposed to think inside the box?
Absolutely. So wrap up this conversation for us here. So kind of give me a quick summary of what we've been talking about, and any final thoughts on standardized education, on personalized education, public school system, anything like that?
Yeah, so just the idea of personalized education is that we are trying to make learning work for the students, right? We're trying to, I say we're, but I guess for me it's kind of like I'm trying to find a way to learn in a way that suits me, you know? And so to personalize your education, every student has really got to take a focused interest in it, because you can't have a teacher coming and being like, oh, you think like that. That defeats the whole purpose, right? So it's really just letting the students find a way to learn and not just go to school to get a diploma, but to really, really genuinely learn. And so it's different for everyone. That's the idea of personalized, right? So for me, it's going to a hands-on technical college and taking a lot of math classes. For someone else, that could be taking all of these English and writing and art and literature classes, because that might be what is useful to them. So it's just like a personalized course, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I think it's interesting. You got to figure out what you're interested in. You got to figure out how you learn best, how you prefer to learn, and just spend your time wisely and actively, and you can find good things to do.
Oh, yeah,
and fun ways to learn. You'll always be learning.
Oh yeah,
you can learn pretty much anywhere. So that's pretty cool.
You learn just like walking down the street, but like you can learn some. This world is really amazing, and everything you can learn about it because it's just massive. Right?
It really is. It
It's
really
so
is.
cool.
Any final thoughts?
Uh, no,
Perfect.
I don't think so.
Well, Joseph, thank you for being here today. That was great to hear about the perspective that an amputee and cancer survivor gets, or at least from your perspective, gets from their experiences regarding standardized school, personalized education, and it was cool to hear the story on kind of how you were able to find your how, your why, the way that it worked for you, and able to implement that. So thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.